Hello you guys. So in this video I want to show you probably one of the really coolest aspects of Desmos, which is the use of what they call sliders. Now for example, I'm going to type y equals x squared, the standard parabola here. And then below it I'm going to type y equals, and in parentheses I'm going to say x minus h. I'm going to say quantity squared. So in other words, I'm putting a number inside the square, and I'm going to go ahead and tell it I want to add a slider here. You notice that what it does is it starts the slider off at h equals 1, and I can grab this slider and I can drag through values of h and see how that changes the graph. Right? Super cool. This is like dynamic exploration. I love this. So for example, if I stop right here at h equals 2, right, this is graphing y equals x minus 2 squared. Right? So I've defined h to be 2, and x minus 2 squared is that graph. Or I can slide over here to h equals 3, let's say. So now there's the graph of x minus 3, and I can see that, here's that x-intercept on the original graph, right, sliding over 3 units. The whole graph is sliding over 3 units. I can grab and change to h equals 4, let's say, and I can see the graph move. So what's really, really cool about sliders is you can dynamically change the values of this constant, and we can see what happens visually and algebraically. So what's the connection between the algebra and the graphical interpretation of what the algebra is doing there? So again, I can slide through and even h's that are negative, right? So for example, if h is negative 4, what I really have is x minus negative 4, which is x plus 4. So if x plus 4 squared would shift the original graph to the left 4 units. All right, so pretty cool. Now, other things I can do on the slider here, I can change my start value. So let's suppose I only wanted to look at positive numbers. I could start at 0 and end at 10. And if I leave the step blank, let me go ahead and hit enter. If I leave the step blank, it scrolls through decimal values. I don't know if you'll notice that there, right? What I could do, if I click back on one of these, I could specify the step to be, let's say, 1. So when I hit enter, now it's going to change a value of just 1. So instead of decimals, it's going to structure my step value, right? The distance between each of these numbers I'm picking. All right. Now I could hit play, and it'll automatically scroll through those values for me, and I can change the speed at which it does that, speed it up or slow it down. Right? And I can pause the playing. I can click back on these, right, and again I can leave the step blank, and that way it'll scroll through decimal values, a little bit more of a kind of continuous graphing, if you will, there. All right? Pretty cool. So really cool aspect of Desmos is this slider feature. You can define what we would call a literal constant. We could explore the values of that constant. So one more real quick one. Let's say I have ax squared plus bx plus c. It's my standard quadratic, and I'm going to add sliders to all of these. Now I don't need h anymore. Let me get rid of h. And so here's my sliders, right? So I can see what happens as I change the value of A, what happens to the graph. I can see what happens as I change the value of B. I can see what happens as I change the value of C. So really, really cool feature. Me as an educator, I love the use of sliders to be able to allow students to explore in the classroom. I hope you check these out and have fun with them too.